Hello and welcome to the Ladies Best Life podcast. Today is episode 107, and today I'm talking about how to properly set goals and not just set them, but also go and get them. I want you to spend the next 6, 12, 18 months turning your goals into reality, actually going and getting them and making sure that when you reflect back on this podcast episode or reflect back to where you are listening to this podcast, I want you to be like, I've nailed it. I've actually gone and got my goals. What I often see, and don't forget, being in a goal setting environment is huge for me. It's huge for Coaching Club, and it's what we do a lot of. A lot of the time when people join the Coaching Club, they've either had poor energy for years, maybe they're overweight, they've had goals, right, that they've just not been able to attain. They haven't been able to get them. And today we're going to break it down because there is nothing more not degrading, but disappointing than setting a goal, consistently setting the goal, but never attaining it, never getting that goal. It is just soul destroying. And I see it. Okay, I've been that person myself. I've set goals for myself, I've put into do half marathons before and I've had to pull out. I had to pull out of a tough mudder. I've set tangible goals inside the business that I haven't hit. And from my own failures, from my own mistakes, from my own setbacks, I've been able to put together a list of things that I'm going to help you to start bossing yourselves so that you can be a goal setter, but also a goal getter. A goal without a plan is just a wish, right? So if we are just kind of going, right, I want to lose 2 stone and just throwing it up in the air, that's just a wish. Without a plan, without knowing exactly how we're going to get there, we are literally just throwing shit at a wall and hoping it will stick. So today we're going to get you out of those zones, and we're also going to help to manage your expectations and make sure that the goals that you've set, the strategy that it's going to take to get you there, you are actually able to do. Because why create a plan that you can't stick to? A couple of weeks ago in the Coaching Club, I was teaching a Tuesday morning session, and I basically was like, right, give me on a scale of 1 to 10. So 1 is you categorically don't believe you can get there. 10 is you know that you can get there. So think about the expectations that you have planned for this week. So they've set their goals, they've set what they want to do, they've set their habits. And I've gone, right, 1 to 10. How likely do you feel like you're going to get there? And anyone above an 8, below an 8, I was like, we now just need to go right back to the drawing board, because if your likelihood in your mind is sub 8, what do you really think your action is going to be? You're probably going to be like, well, it's unattainable. The expectations are too high. So what's the fucking point, So this is what I want you to be thinking about today. Whatever we're talking about, whatever we're setting, we need to make sure that it's attainable. We need to make sure that throughout the chaos of life, we can actually make it work. Now, before we get stuck into today's episode, if you haven't already, please go back to last week's and go and give Faye Knox's live session a listen, because we talked about everything to do with skincare, to do with acne, to do with health, and also to do with Faye's journey. I have had so much feedback about it. I've had so many of you come into me and be like, wow, that was insane. I've now started following Faye. It was incredible. So please go back and give it a listen, because there's going to be some absolute wisdom in there that you can take from it. And again, kind of implement into your life or just share it with people around you. So goal setting, goal getting, turning those dreams into reality. Where do we begin? The first one is getting clarity. Step 1, we need clarity. And again, something that we've recently implemented into the Coaching Club is what, why, who, and how. So let's choose something super simple, like I want to lose weight. That is not, in my mind, a clear enough what. We need to be granular. So how much weight are you wanting to lose? And in what time frame? So in CC, we run in 6-week sprints, okay? So this could be what you do. So listening to this today, you're gonna go, right, 6 weeks time, what is the date? How much do I believe I can realistically lose in that time? And write it down. Write down the exact amount of weight that you're wanting to lose, or maybe it's a career goal, whatever it is. Let's be granular. Let's literally be that someone could read it and it could be as clear as a roadmap. They will understand it. They will know absolutely everything behind what you're doing, why you're doing it, how you're going to do it, and who's going to be required to get involved. So step one, clarity on what it is that you want. Okay, so what is that goal? The next question to that same point is why? Why do you want those things? Because the why is the fuel for the what. And if you don't know why, maybe the what is a goal from somebody else. And let's stay on the example of weight loss. There is a weight bias in society that you are more accepted if you are in a smaller body. We cannot deny that that isn't around. Now, do I believe that that's right? Absolutely not. But it is everywhere. It is getting better, but we still have that bias. So whenever I work with ladies in the CC who they have a weight loss goal, but they can't give me a why, I'm like, okay, let's explore this together on a one-to-one coaching call where we can understand what is the driving force of that goal. Is it that you've borrowed it from somebody else? Or is there actually a why, but we just need to kind of like dig into it a little bit more. So I want you to think about that. Why do you want said goal? And if you don't know, this is great. Because when we don't know stuff, we have the opportunity to open our mind and to explore things that we may not know the answer to, which means we are developing, we are enhancing our knowledge, we're enhancing our self-awareness. So not knowing is actually great, and please do celebrate it. Next is who. Who do you need to help you to this goal? You could currently be doing all of the housework at home, you could be taxiing the children around everywhere, and you could be literally cooking all the meals and it's all on you. But there's 2 adults at home. So maybe you need to have that open, honest, heartfelt conversation with your partner and ask them to help out a little bit more. Let's split the tasks. Maybe it's in work and you're overworking because your boss keeps putting more on your desk. And, you know, even though you get even though you get overtime pay, you still are like, yeah, but I actually would just rather the time, because then it would be a bit easier to work on my goals and to have some energy left for myself. So maybe the who is a conversation. Maybe the who is sharing responsibilities more. Maybe the who is hiring a coach, or maybe you already have a coach, but you're not leaning in on them enough. Maybe you need to do that. Remember, it's a 50-50 responsibility with the coach, and we need to work with you. And in order to do that, the communication lines need to be open. So who is really important? And be clear, again, crystal clear. We need that roadmap. Be absolutely clear of who you need and what you need from them. And then when communicating it, be raw, be real, and be honest. And the final one is how. For me, I believe the why and the how are the 2 most important things. Because if you don't have a why, we're not going to have the fuel for the what. And if we don't have a how, this is just literally going, okay, so I want this thing and I'm going to throw it up in the air and I'm going to hope it happens, but I don't really have a game plan to get there. So the how is going to be the literally broken down step by step of how you're going to get there. And if you're not sure, this is when you could do a little bit of research. You could start following people on social media who are going to be helping you with the how. But the more you can break it down, chunk it down, and fully understand the how, so that for the next 6 weeks, you've literally got daily tasks, maybe weekly tasks, you've got your roadmap of how you're going to get there, the chances of success are going to be much greater, right? So that's step number 1. And in step 1, there's obviously 4 points. And we are going to be touching upon these 4 points as we go right the way throughout this podcast episode. But they're the initial. Step 1, what do you want? Why do you want it? Who do we need to lean on in order to get there? And how? What are the specific steps to get there? If you are already going, oh my God, my brain's on fire, I now need to go write these down, pause the episode, go and write these down, get crystal clear, and then come and listen to the next points after you've done that. You know, don't stay here listening if you've already got some ideas. Go and execute those. Step number 2, we've covered this already, and you're going to notice some kind of like repetition coming up, but it's all going to be so much worth you listening to because it's breaking stuff down further. Write your goals down. We all know how much nicer it feels when you write down your problems, when you speak about it, when you express. It's the same with goals. There is something that happens almost energetically when you write down your goals. It's a commitment. When you open your notebook and every single day you see that goal, it keeps you aligned because what you focus on will grow. And often life is busy, right? You know, goals they could mean a lot to us. Say it's PMS week and can't fit in the jeans and we're like, oh God, this is just a nightmare. Right, that's it. I'm going to go and lose this stone that I've been saying I'm going to lose. When you've been through your period week and the other side of it, generally we start to feel like bloating is down and therefore the jeans could fit better. You could forget about that goal then until the next PMS week. And then you're like, oh God, I said that thing. So by having them written down, it takes the commitment from just a little vague idea in the universe to a commitment that's written down, and you are much more likely to achieve it and to push towards it when it's written down. Step number 3. So once we know what we're aiming for, it's then a really good idea to chunk it down. So chunk the goal down so it's attainable, it's realistic, but also chunk down the game plan. So if we're going for the 6-week sprint and you've gone, right, 2 stone I want to lose in 6 weeks, first of all, unattainable. So we're going to remove that. So 2 stone could be the full goal, but actually we want to start focusing on maybe 6 pounds. So once we've got the what broken down, we then need to think about the how. So rather than being like, oh, well, it's, 10,000 steps and I need to be tracking on my fitness pal and I need to have 2 liters of water and I need to go to bed at 7 p.m. and I need to be up at 6 a.m. and I need to do 4 workouts a week. And it's like, oh my God, all these things. That's going to overwhelm you, right? And when we're overwhelmed, we don't take action. So how much can we break it down step by step? And I honestly think right now, if you're listening to this episode and you're like, yes, this is me, this is what I need, get your notepad and pen out. Let's start to chunk this down here together. Think about where you want to get to and reverse engineer back from there. It could be a weight loss goal. It could be a career target. It could be a health goal. And when we focus on the process, so the habits and the action steps, usually the goal takes care of itself. Because when we're doing the do, and if we focus on doing the do, the outcome will happen by default. But sometimes when we obsess about the outcome, it can drive us into a crazy space where we're like feeling that kind of like need to hyper control stuff. So chunking it down, focusing on the step-by-step process, which should be, again, crystal clear, that is going to help you significantly to get to where you want to get to. The next thing that I want you to consider is priorities. So for some of you, you could be like, right, okay, I need to track on my fitness pal. And you could prioritize that, even though that doesn't bring you much else other than a bit more kind of control and structure from your food. Whereas if we spent that time working on, going to the gym or getting some steps in, we would actually feel fitter. We would feel potentially stronger. It would help to clear our mind. So think about priorities, because whatever it is that your goals are over this next 6 weeks, the list could be monstrous, right? And that again is overwhelming. But if we put it in priority order, so you could literally next to the list of habits and tasks that you've got to do in order to get to your goal, if we can prioritize it and just put, 1, this is my key priority, 2, next priority, 3, 4, and whatever, okay? It's going to help you to know what's going to be the first thing to focus on each day or each week. And the other stuff, yes, okay, we know that it is a focus and we do want to bring some attention to it, but it's not the key one. This is an absolute game changer for removing that overwhelm. So definitely have a look at that. Have a look at what is most important for you. And again, this is why self-awareness, self-mastery is so important. because we need to think what's right for us. So for me, yes, okay, I know like eating my 5 a day plus more and getting some water in is going to be super important. The most important thing for me is sleep. So if I want to get to my goals, which are outside of fat loss, they're nothing to do with fat loss. They're more to do with, if I'm talking about physical, they're more to do with strength these days. But if I'm knackered because I slept like shit, doesn't matter how good my nutrition is, doesn't matter how hard I push my workouts, it isn't gonna land. It isn't gonna work because I'm still gonna be fatigued. So for me, my priority is sleep. It's downtime. It's making sure that my sleep hygiene, so before I go to bed and after I've woken up, are aligned to set my energy and myself up for the best possible day, because that will feed into my goal. So it could be a little bit different with you there, that maybe your like first reaction is, right, when it comes to weight loss, the most important thing is calories in versus calories out, right? But that could be a belief that you borrowed from someone else. And actually, it's not what you know is a priority for you. And your priority could be that you go to the gym 3 times this week because it gives you headspace from everybody at home. It lifts your energy. It's great for feeding into your confidence. And that's the first thing that will give you the most. That's the most bang for your buck, if you like. For me, I would be focusing on that being a priority rather than doing what I think I should be. So priority order is step number 4. Step number 5, and we've broken this down a little bit as we've gone into step 3, which was chunking it down. But we need an action plan, guys. We need to know the exact roadmap, the exact strategy of how we're going to get there. And another little thing that we use in Coaching Club is called varying standards. So I've talked to you about this before, but I think it's a great frame and I know it will be beneficial for you. Imagine you today wrote a plan based upon the current workload, the kind of like home situation and everything in the current. Then in 2 days' time, I don't know, your partner could break his leg, or you have an extra additional project thrown onto your lap at work. And now you're like, shit, I can't stick to this plan. This is now unattainable. So you're just not going to do anything. Whereas if we can add in the varying standards from the CC, this is going to be a game changer because you can adapt, which again is another point later on. But what I want you to think about are, what are the baselines towards this goal? So what are the very minimum steps that no matter how crazy life gets, you can stick to? What are they? What are those habits? And I would write those down next. Baselines, what are they? So you may not fully get to your goal, but you'll be a step closer or a few steps closer than you are right now. Then you've got your mediocre. So what are the standards that are generally happening day to day? This could be maybe 10% added on top of your baselines. And then you've got optimal. It is a rarity that we will go into optimal, but it's quite nice having it there. So if you have a big call that's cancelled, or you just, I don't know, something else gets cancelled from your diary, you've got a little bit more time, you can be like, oh, my optimal standards are to go for that 4th workout. I've now got an hour free, so gym kit on, let's go. Living room workout, let's maximize this time rather than scrolling on social media. When you have the varying standards in place and you are clear on your action plan, you know what it's going to take in order to get you there. You know where you're going, you know where you're aiming for, you've got the plan, you know if shit hits the fan, you can adapt if you need to. And it stops the all or nothing mentality, which I know is an absolute killer for a lot of the ladies that I talk to and the ladies who are in the coaching club. It's those ridiculously high expectations that if they're not hit, it's like, well, what's the point? Whereas when we have the focus on the varying standards, we realize that there is a point, that we can operate from that middle ground. And in fact, when we're realistic and when we're honest with ourselves, that middle ground is where a lot of our life will actually sit. Because it doesn't really, like, we can plan to the complete, like, pristine level. Like, everything is laid out in there. You can even have your white space in there, your shower time in there, all put into your Google Calendar. But if we don't plan for the shit hitting the fan, how are we ever going to make sure that we continue moving forwards? We can't really, because we're not allowing life to happen. The next step number 6, is about seeking support and feedback. When life is busy and we're focusing on the things that we're a master in, and we're trying to keep people alive at home, or we're trying to uphold relationships and connections, sometimes your goals, especially if the why isn't connected to them, can just be like a burden. And this is why having support and accountability, whether it be from a friend, a coach, a mentor, whoever, right? Could even be your partner. We're getting feedback. We're learning, okay, well, you did this, and do you think it could be because of this? Okay, so instead of doing this, how about we try this? You've got someone there who's working with you on the same goals, but they won't have the emotion because the goals aren't their own. And this is incredible when you've got that external source. So for me, recently, I've massively had to lean on my mentors because I've just felt a disconnect in what I've been doing in certain areas of my life. And I have been emotional about it. I felt quite stressed, quite under pressure. Whereas when I could speak to my mentors and sit down with them, it's like, oh yeah, why couldn't I see that? And it's the same for feedback. Well, do you realize that you're having a cappuccino that's got 300 calories in every single morning? You know, if we were to swap that out for a small cappuccino or a skinny cappuccino, we could probably be moving towards the weight loss that you're trying to get. Oh my goodness, I didn't even think about that. And when you're in a logical headspace, you can be a bit like, oh my God, how did I not see it? But when we're emotional, we're not logical. Step number 7. I want you to think about, even if you're halfway through a 6-week sprint or halfway through the time that you've set to going to get your goals, give yourself the opportunity to reevaluate. As adults, we have this consistency bias, okay? And what that basically means is if we say something, we've got to stick to it. We cannot possibly change our mind. This is bullshit. And it's almost like an adult curse that we get. Like as kids, you can be like, I want a sandwich for lunch. And then you get the sandwich, you're like, oh, I want spaghetti. And they're like, oh God. But kids can just change their mind and no one judges them. But as adults, we have this, and it is actually like a human bias. We have this desire to keep consistent. And therefore, if we change our mind, it's like, oh my God, I'm the worst human ever. Not the case at all. So as you're going through this journey, if you're going to be committing this time to it, if you've got your notepad and pen out, and you are serious about this, you could be taking this quite a few strides further than you maybe have done in the past. And by doing that, it can highlight certain things. It can bring certain things to the front of our mind. And then sometimes we can be like, oh my God, I've been striving to this goal, but I've realized I don't have a why behind it. So no wonder it's really not landing for me. And I've been striving to lose 2 stone for about 10 years, but actually I just want to be healthy. I just want energy. So scrap the weight loss goal. Let's go for health. Let's go for energy. And let's go back to the what, why, who, and how. Let's go back to it. Give yourself the permission to change your mind. Give yourself the permission to reevaluate and scrap it if you need. And no one will judge you. And if they do, why does their opinion matter? It probably, if you do get any negative opinions, which you're not going to, but if you did, it highlights something in them that they potentially wish that they had. So it's never about you. It's always about them. It's always deflection. So allow yourself to adapt. Allow yourself to change your mind. Step number 8, and this is so commonly missed, and I'm going to hold my hands up. I am awful at doing this, okay? But I'm getting better. Celebrate. Celebrate those milestones, those stepping stones, and those little achievements. And this is, again, something we preach a lot in CC because some of the women do come in and they've got 2, 3, 4 stone to lose. And imagine if they just kept doing the do, you know what you're going for, you know where you want to go, but the only time you celebrate is when you're 6 stone lighter. That's a long time of constant graft. That's a long time of no, fuck yes, I am so proud of me moments. So when we chunk down the steps that we're going to take, could we potentially chunk down the little micro goals that we're going to celebrate along the way? The first pound, the third pound, the 4th gym session, the week where we've bossed 70,000 steps collectively. What are these little micro goals? And you might not have that much support at home in regards to people going, high five, woo, go you. So this is where we need to put ourselves as adults in the right communities and environments. And say you're thinking, oh my God, it's all well and good, you've got coaching club, Sasha, but I can't afford that money to invest in myself. Cool, we have the Ladies Best Life group, which is a free Facebook group and is linked directly with this podcast. So go and give it a listen, go and get stuck into that group, celebrate your wins in there. Every Wednesday, we have a post that goes out specifically for your wins. So there are places for you to celebrate. You can celebrate with your children, your friends, someone at work, or with complete strangers on the internet, or even on your own. Treat yourself to something. Give yourself a pat on the back, because this is going to help your journey to be much more enjoyable. We all like to feel like we're winning. We all like to feel like the effort we're putting in is paying off. And if you only celebrate that effort when you're the other side of your goal, it's going to get pretty boring pretty fast. So let's make sure that we keep focused on celebrating those goals along the way. The micro ones will lead to the macro. It's just a matter of consistency and time. Step 9, and we've covered this a little bit, but I wanted to make it a section of its own. Stay adaptable. Allow yourself, your expectations, and your habits to ebb and flow with life. Life is busy. We're going to have some absolute storms thrown our way. And they will be hurdles that you won't be able to get over if you're not adaptable. We've had some women inside the CC over this past couple of weeks especially have some seriously challenging family situations going on. And I mean seriously challenging. Have they just hit the fuck it button? Have they just gone, ugh, too much, can't do this? Not at all. They've adapted and overcome. It could be an injury that you've had and you've had to pull out of the race that you've been training for all year. Do you just go fuck it, or do you adapt and overcome? Okay, I currently can't run, but what can I do? Maybe you've got a lot of stress going on at home and you can't really give your goals 100%. Okay, but what can I do? I can still keep putting the 2Ps into the 2P machine. And okay, the time might be a little bit longer, but at least you are chipping away at those goals. And when we're adaptable, when we allow ourselves to manage those expectations, it means that we can have the consistency that we've craved for a long time. But we're no longer putting unrealistic expectations on ourselves and kind of forgetting the fact that we're human. Because that's what I see, and I'm so guilty of this, especially back in the day. Now I'm much better at it after years of working on my mindset, working on my relationship with myself. But I'm kind of like, whoa, I'm one human. Like, if I can't get all check-ins done on a certain day, cool. No one's going to die, I'll do it tomorrow. Or I said I was going to train 5 times this week and I've got it all planned in my diary, but it's PMS and my energy's through the floor. Cool, scrap the workouts. I used to have to replace them with something, but now I'm like, fuck that. If I want an extra hour in bed, I'm going to have an extra hour in bed. If I want to just lie on the sofa, I'm just going to lie on the sofa, because I get me. I understand me and I meet myself where I'm at. So stay adaptable. Allow yourself to ebb and flow, and give yourself the space and the capacity and the flexibility that you would give other people, because you deserve that. The final point is stay committed and persistent. We see so many people fail because they can't stick to the commitment levels. And like I talked about at the beginning, that 1 to 10 scale, if it's below an 8, if you're looking at, oh my God, I've got this massive like how list, and you're like, it's like a 3 out of 10 chance I'm going to get that done. We need to scrap it, guys. We need to go back to the drawing board and remember that every monumental building that you see that's like a skyscraper has got such deep foundations. You have to stack those foundations one on top of the next in order to build that skyscraper. And it's the same with your results and your goals. We have to start small, and this fries people so much. You know, if people want results now, we're in a dopamine-rich society. People want the answer now. They want the results now. They want the takeaway now. They want the Amazon delivery now. It doesn't work like that with goals. Sure, you want fast weight loss results? Go to Cambridge and I'll see you in 6 months' time. But if you want genuine results, if you actually want results that last, we need to go step by step. So if you're going, I can't commit, it's too much, your expectations are too high. Because every single one of you listening to this can commit to something. Whether it be you put a 250 ml glass of water next to the kettle every morning and you have a cup of water before your cup of coffee. You're probably going, well, what's the point in that? That's stupid. That's not going to get me anywhere. Hello, hydration. Hello, better energy. Hello, better skin. Hello, better health throughout the body. When we have all of those things, we will move more. We will generally, because we're not knackered, we might have better food choices. So instead of disregarding those tiny things, and maybe those tiny things are all you can do right now, imagine the compound effect of those tiny things. Imagine if we stack them, that even over a year long, right? What skyscraper are we going to build? Something is better than nothing. And if your expectations of being too high is causing a nothing, what do we need to do? We need to manage the expectations. We need to shrink the tasks and the habits that we want to do and slot it into our diary and be like, right, realistic, what can I do? Because you could always have, remember, baseline, mediocre, optimal. Baselines could be cup of water next to the kettle, so you get some water in first. It could be have some source of, I don't know, fruit and veg with every meal. So you could have raspberries with your breakfast, you could have courgette with your lunch and carrots with your evening meal. Okay, so that's 3 in a day. That was more than before. That could be your baseline. Your mediocre could be bed by 10 p.m. Okay, and maybe a 20-minute walk on lunch. Your optimal could be 2 workouts added on top of that and maybe 2 more extra portions of fruit and veg. Can you see how we now can kind of select? And you could start Monday on mediocre. Monday night, you could have an absolute monstrous thing thrown on your lap and you go, right, change gear. We're going to go down into the baselines and we're going to stick to those. And if something miraculous happens and I can take things up a notch, I will just shift gear and come back into the mediocre. You give yourself the flexibility and the ability to dance through life, to manage your own expectations. It is a game changer. So just to recap, step 1 to attaining your goals, not just being a good goal setter, but being an epic goal getter, is be clear on the what, the why, the who, and the how. Step 2 is write those goals down. Let's get crystal clear on where we're going. Let's create that next level commitment by writing them down. Step 3 is chunk it down. Not only the process, but also the celebrationary milestones along the way. Milestones, you know what I mean. Step 4 is put it in priority order and priority for what lights you up the most, for what makes you feel the best. Step 5 is create that action plan. Look at your time zone. Remember that we want to have a look at baseline, mediocre, and optimal, so the varying standards, and let's create a bit of a plan, because writing it down and creating the plan into our diary is going to increase the likelihood of you taking the action that is required by 1,000,000 times. Step 6, let's look for ways that you can get feedback and support, whether it be a free group, whether it be a friend, whatever. How can we have someone who's kind of involved, but they don't have to be like crazily involved, but just someone there so that they can give you a non-emotional bit of support on it, help you to kind of make the right steps that you need to make, and not completely like ruling the show, but just being there, just helping you. Honestly, it's a game changer. Step 7 is regularly allow yourself to evaluate and adjust the goals if needs be. As an adult, it's okay to change your mind. Number 8, celebrate those micro achievements, those milestones along the way. They are so important. 9, stay adaptable. Adapt and overcome. Allow yourself to ebb and flow with life. And number 10 is stay committed and persistent. And if you think about the steps prior to step 10, they will all help you with staying committed. So what I'd love to hear from you today is, what your goals are. So I'd love for you to reply to me on social media, Sasha Holly Bye, or the Ladies Best Life group on Facebook, wherever. You're probably on my email list as well. Reply to me on there. What are your goals? And if you're going to do one thing from today, start with the what, why, who, and how. Get those written down. Make sure they are crystal clear so there is no room for confusion, and send them across to me. Or if you don't want to do that, that's fine. Send them to a friend. Let's create that accountability group. You still have time to smash the rest of this year. You still have time to wake up on January the 1st feeling significantly better than you do now. Now is the time that we sow the seeds for a positive 2024. So now is your opportunity to make sure that you make that happen. Have an incredible rest of your day. I cannot wait to hear from you. Thank you so much for listening. All my love. Bye bye bye.